Welcome to Mastering Life's Adventures, an educational podcast about tapping into your true self, the soul, the substance of your life, to discover what life's ups and downs are really about, and how to have a greater sense of purpose, peace, joy, and fulfillment. I am Dr. Judith Holder, your host, coach, psychologist, fellow seeker who enjoys diving into the connections between spirituality, psychology, wellness, and your everyday life's adventures. All preparing and polishing you like the facets of a magnificent diamond to be your best self. If you're craving more from your life, you are in the right place. Come, let's journey together and transforming what you know into who you really are. Mastering Life's Adventures begins now.
Have you ever been so focused on something that the world disappears? But then, once it's over, you felt drained. What if I told you there's another kind of focus, one that doesn't leave you exhausted, but instead leaves you spiritually energized, clear, and calm? This kind of focus isn't just about willpower or attention, which I've talked about in previous podcast episodes. Hi, I'm back to talk about another powerful key to soul progress, something that many seem to overlook and seems simple on the surface, but has a hidden depth that most people miss, and that is divine concentration. Not just any type of concentration, but we're talking about and exploring what I call divine concentration. Now, you might be thinking, isn't concentration just focusing? Yes and no. Regular concentration is usually about something we are focused on to get through a task, staying alert, or checking things off like your to-do list. But divine concentration, that's a whole other level. It's not just mental, it's spiritual. And it's directly connected to your soul's power to align with higher wisdom, purpose, and peace. So let's get into this because I think you'll be really interested to know some of my thoughts about divine concentration versus regular concentration. And here are some examples. Regular concentration, you're cramming for a test. You block out all distractions, maybe take some caffeine, coffee to drink, and laser in on the material. Your brain's working hard, but inside, you might feel tense, pressured, and even anxious. The moment the test is over, after you finish cramming and then took the test, you feel relieved, but also fatigued. But that is what we're talking about in terms of regular concentration. But divine concentration, here's an example. Imagine sitting in stillness with a clear sense of purpose, writing, painting, praying, or working on a heart-centered goal. You're calm but deeply focused. Time seems to disappear. There is inner stillness, even though you're active. When you're done, you feel refreshed, not tired. And that's the beginning of divine concentration. You can do it if you have to study for something. You can do it if you want to be creative in a particular project that you're working on. But it helps you to begin to anchor in what I'm talking about as divine concentration and that stillness with a purpose and centeredness with the goal in mind that you're going to be always tied into your inner self, your higher self, your soul substance. The major difference is that concentration uses your mental energy. Divine concentration channels your spiritual energy. Regular concentration can get results, without a doubt, but divine concentration fuels your evolution. It creates inner harmony between mind, heart, and soul. It's a higher vibrational state of being, present, awake, and inwardly connected to your divine source, the God that is within you, the soul connecting to the Christic principles we've talked about in the past. It is tied into a greater source that is infinite, bountiful in energy. It's a whole different wavelength, vibrational pattern that you're working from. And here's the key. Your soul is the conductor of divine concentration. It's what pulls your attention away from the noise into knowing. And when that soul is centered in the awareness of the higher principles, a higher awareness, the higher source, the creator, you're moving in the right direction. So let's break it down in terms of my thoughts about divine concentration. And the acronym I use for this is DIVINE. Each letter holds a secret to practicing this kind of soul-centered concentration. The D is direction from the higher source, your creator, the I am presence. You don't focus just to achieve. You focus because your soul is receiving direction. Divine direction begins when you seek alignment with your higher self, not the ego, or what I've called in the past the ego persona goals. It's the higher goals that you're focused on. How am I doing this to the glory of God? How am I doing this with the awareness that I want to reveal all pieces of what I'm working on? You're asking for divine direction from your inner and your higher source. So it does require the I, which is inner stillness. Unlike regular focus, which can feel chaotic or pressured, especially during time-limited activities that creates more stress, while divine concentration requires inner stillness. Even in activity, your inner state remains calm. And the outer mind focused is like the eye of a storm, focused, undisturbed, quiet. Remember what I said in the past episode about staying tuned to light and love and letting that flow through you, which then gets us to the next, which is vibration elevation. When you engage in divine concentration, your vibration rises. You feel more peaceful, loving, intuitive. You're connected. You're connected to inspiration, not just information. And that's where we have a gear switch. It's like when you're driving a stick shift, you shift into another gear. You shift into the higher gear, which is above and beyond just the information that you have to learn or gather. The I of divine is intentional presence. This means choosing to be fully present, not multitasking or zoning out. You bring your body, mind, and soul into this moment with care and purpose. No attachment to outcome. And that's a big one. You concentrate, yes, but without clinging to the result. You surrender the results to your higher self, your attunement with that higher sense of who you are, your attunement to your soul awareness as you're asking in conversation with your inner essence, with that sage aspect of who you are, which ties into your soul, ties into Christic values, ties into your higher awareness, the I am presence, your true source. And when you're not attached to outcome, you find that you can trust and let go. You surrender your ego persona and open to soul guidance, your inner guidance, that sage guidance, the I am presence, the creator. You've built that degree of sensitivity to hear and be attuned to the inner awareness of how you're being guided. The E is energy alignment. Everything flows when your energy is aligned. You'll feel less resistance, less friction. Divine concentration clears mental fog and opens intuitive clarity. So again, divine concentration is direction, inner stillness, vibration, intentional presence, non-attachment, energy alignment. Your soul is always seeking to bring you into alignment with the divine plan for your life. It speaks not in loud thoughts, but in quiet impressions. But you can't hear those impressions when you're scattered, distracted, or easily annoyed or frustrated, a feeling you're not making enough progress, or you think you're not doing it right. Put that aside. Divine concentration is how your soul takes the lead, bringing your attention back to what matters, whispering truth in moments of stillness. Here's the thing. The soul doesn't shout. It radiates. And when you're in divine concentration, you begin to feel that radiance, that sacred pull inward toward wisdom, peace, and purpose. You become less reactive and more reflective, less anxious and more anchored. That's the beauty of having divine concentration and the willingness to be able to practice it. So here are some steps to practice. And I thought I would give you a few kind of steps or guiding principles, if you want to call it that, as you're trying to live in everyday life, in all the things at work, at home, with your significant other, your relationship, marriage, family members, relatives, whoever you come in contact with, as well as friends. So here are some thoughts. Begin with the sacred pause. Before starting a task, take 30 seconds to center. Breathe deeply. Ask, what's the highest purpose of this moment? And invite your soul to join in. And if you're talking to family members or other individuals, remember to also pause. It only takes a second to ask yourself, what needs to be said here? What needs to be done here? So whether it's working on a task or interaction with others. Number 2, set a divine intention. Say inwardly, I choose to be present, guided, and in service to my highest good. The I am presence, the creator, the sage aspects of who you are, your soul. This shifts your energy instantaneously. The call compels the answer. That's a universal law. And when we're willing to make that call, to ask for guidance and direction, and to be fully present, it shifts your energy. The more you do it, the more it shifts you to a higher vibration of awareness and attunement. Number 3, focus with heart, not just mind. Engage your whole self, whether you're writing, speaking, meditating, interacting with other individuals at work or at home, or even in home, you're cleaning. Do it with love, care, and attention. The more we start to have a living of life in the vibrations of love, care, and attention, the more we have that soul substance, the essence of our life, speak to us, guide us, aid us under the auspices of the Christ and under the auspices of the mighty I Am Presence. Number 4, practice inner listening. During your focus time, if you feel distracted or anxious, don't judge it. Just gently return to inner stillness. Often, soul insights rise after the mind quiets down. Sometimes we have to walk away from something or get out of our seat and go do something else and then come back and sit down. You're giving your inner wisdom time to connect with you in a higher way. Some people take a brief nap because they want to have a greater clearance of their mind against the day and all the things that have happened for them in that particular day. And they really want to be more focused and making sure they can hear their inner voice of the soul and the higher self. Whatever that means for you, try to engage in it and see what happens for yourself. So remember, practice inner listening. It can be really quite fun and helpful when you get that hunch or that inspiration or a quiet whisper, and then you act on it and you realize, wow, that was great. Number 5 is close with gratitude. When done with that task or interaction with the person, whatever it might be, when you're done, close with a few words of gratitude. It can be simple as, thank you for this moment. May it serve my soul and others. Gratitude seals the energy of divine concentration. So whatever word or phrase you feel comfortable using to close with gratitude, it may be something simple as thank you. That can be really helpful. As a summary, being able to look at divine concentration using the acronym of DIVINE, direction from your higher self, inner stillness, vibration, elevation, set a divine intention, focus the heart, not just the mind. Practice inner listening. Close with gratitude. And that gives you a swirling energy of moving your consciousness and your awareness to a higher plateau. It's like walking up the mountain and you're getting to higher elevation. And as you're getting to higher elevation, you can see more. You can be aware of more. You can be able to process things in a different way. And that's the progress that the soul wants us to make. It wants us to process things in a different way than from the mundane of the intellect or the personality only, but integrating all of this into a divine awareness that you can be your best self through principles that are anchored in soul awareness and spiritual tenets or precepts, things that you have read that you want to bring into your everyday life and practice them. But the first area that you begin with is through divine concentration. It sets up the attunement. So the next time you sit down to work or to meditate or even have a conversation, ask yourself, am I just focusing or am I concentrating divinely? Divine concentration isn't about perfection. It's about alignment, attunement, being aware that all that you do, you're doing to the glory of God, that you're doing it for the glory of your soul's expression. It's about letting your soul take the wheel. And in that vehicle is divine guidance, angels, and your I Am presence. It's a totality of who you are. When you quiet the noise of your mind and heart and remember what really matters, which is your soul, which is the substance of your life, that through each experience and each activity you engage in is an opportunity for divine concentration, an opportunity to be your best self each day. Here's something to think about this week. What would your life look like if your focus came from your soul, not from stress? Stress has a way of clouding things. And so if you're more intentional with divine concentration, how would this impact your soul? How would it impact your day-to-day living? What would you notice would start to shift, or you would want to start to shift? But we will never know if we don't begin somewhere to work on divine concentration. Something to think about. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining me for this episode on Mastering Life's Adventures, being your best self through soul evolution. If you have enjoyed what you've heard today, I would be delighted if you would share this episode with others, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe to my Mastering Life's Adventures podcast. Look forward to your joining the next episode. Please leave any comments or suggestions you might have below. Bye for now.